Welcome to Coach SG and Friends, where we discuss topics that help you have a better relationship with yourself and others. I am Coach SG, otherwise known as your joyful friend. I'm a relationship coach and life mentor, an entrepreneur and speaker. I'm based out of Los Angeles, but originally from Brooklyn, New York. I love great music, deep conversations, and inspiring people to live their best emotional lives and create their most amazing love story. Let me introduce you to my two friends, Janessa Rose and Lisa Miranda. Janessa is the CEO of Motivational Monsters, a nonprofit that helps people activate mental health and emotional well-being through creative arts. She is the author of How to Stop Being an Effing Bum. BUM stands for Broken Urban Mentality. She's been dubbed the Tony Robbins / Cardi B of motivational speakers, and she calls herself the Galactic Goddess. Lisa Miranda is an actor and creative director. She's also dabbling in producing. She is based in Miami, New York, and Paris. She is a world traveler who speaks several languages, who loves life, good people, and good conversation. So we want to welcome you to our podcast. Let's get started. All right. So I want to clarify about dating multiple people, right? Because I think it's about your intention. You got to think about intention. My intention is not to date as many people as possible. My intention is to find the right one that I'm aligned with. So I don't know why, you can't date multiple people if your intention is finding the right person that's aligned with you. So the other thing too is I'm not going out with the intention of hurting anybody. That's not, I'm not like trying to not think about their feelings and all that, but I know I can't carry people's feelings. I know that all I can be is kind and truthful. That's it. But some people might see the fact that I won't say that I'm dating somebody else is that I'm omitting things. But what I say is I'm not ready for commitment. So to me, that's enough. You don't need to know what I'm doing, how many people, what their names are, and all that stuff. You don't need that. You just need to know I'm not ready for a commitment. And that's all that I say.
What if they ask, how much information do you share while you're just dating someone?
Enough you feel comfortable with. I probably would ask them, what if we're not committed and we're getting to know each other, why do you need to know that information?
And I would probably ask something like, why would you need to sleep with me if we're not committed?
Well, here's what I would say. If you know we're not committed and you have personal rules for yourself that makes you feel comfortable, then don't have sex. Right. Because why share yourself with somebody if you feel like it's going to put you in a place? But at the end of the day, before we leave dating multiple people, because this is something that we're collectively saying to do, right? But we know it's mostly what I'm saying about, do you guys feel differently about dating more than one person? And I don't mean like 10, 12. I'm talking about 2, 3, and we're talking over a span of like 3 months. Your intention isn't to be dating everybody for years. I did this for about 3 months, and by the 4th month, that gets exhausting. Like, I'm not going to hang with somebody I know I'm not going to, build a future with.
Yeah, I definitely, I think I already do this. I'll talk to a couple people. Whether or not I date them, like go together on dates, I'll talk, and it depends. But I think I already do this, just in different ways. For me, it's not physical, it's more energetic and seeing if we intellectually match, because those are my main things that I do want. And so I don't even want to spend time or let you into a personal space with me unless we have that already. So I think I do this. I think my prior last connection, I was straight for like 10 months or so, a little bit, almost a year. I was not dating. I wasn't seeing anybody or anything. And I had started to speak to people. And I had, I think, two people that I was, maybe more, maybe even 3 people I was talking to. And then I wind up seeing the last gentleman. And that was who won the connection thing,
Right.
Yeah, and they were more aligned with the things that I wanted at the time. And so that wound up being, but then the moment that I started to see that it wasn't, I was like, you know what? as much as I don't want to, I can hang on this forever in hopes that you will become what I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? And so I think I already kind of do that. I think I did that. So I'm okay with that.
I love that.
I think for me, this is still about letting go of the responsibility of how other people feel or how other people process things. Because I think I still get very caught up in how I'm making someone else feel as opposed to letting go of that altogether and letting each person be responsible for their emotions. So that's why I kept asking these questions. Well, what do you say in that situation? What do you say in that? But I think it's still tied to just really cutting that cord of responsibility and then channeling all that energy to me. So I can absolutely see the freedom of taking care of myself, my own interests without it being evil, or you know what I'm saying, or a counter culture, tradition, blah blah blah, etc.
I love that. And I think it helps me if I was with somebody who wanted to have this selection process. That's why it doesn't bother me, because I know that I add value. I know who I am. I know that I bring, so if somebody else is a better fit for them, great. I don't want anybody who hasn't done that work. And now we're in a relationship and they're kind of want to see somebody else. Like, I want them to know that I was the chosen one and you are the chosen one. And now I'm committed to you and I'm ready to, to shut everything down. So date multiple people so that you have your selection process and you know that you've given that your time, because it deserves to have your time. And number 4 is assess if this person is aligned with you. So how do you guys assess if a person is aligned with you?
My most recent thing was good because I used to like a certain kind of guy, right? For me, it was like, oh, he's got to be tough, he's got to be this. It was this old story, right? And then when I started to learn more about me individually during my non-dating stage, which was just like, my own stuff, that span of time, I realized when I started to heal, I really like hiking. That means I need you to be fit enough to take a hike with me. I realized I really love leaving the city and having intimate private time in nature a lot. That means you need to drive. Not because I need you to have a car
or have a driver, right?
You know what I mean? Like, we need to drive, not because I'm like, oh, you got that. It's more so because this is what allows us to escape the routine. And so now I started to know more and more of the things that I wanted to be involved in, because those are the things that made me my best self. So it changed. I no longer dated the drug dealers or the tough guys because they were scared of being taken advantage of, and they needed to assert themselves in very low level circumstances to feel strong. And I had undone all of those things within myself. And so I started to realize, okay, this is not the kind of connection I wanted any longer. So knowing more and more about myself by taking time to learn myself individually, not allowing connections to define me. Who am I in this connection? Who am I with this person? Excuse me, guys. Who am I with this person? So on and so forth. When they love me, when they're not loving me. Those were not who I was. Those were the circumstances I was in. So when I started to learn more and more about me on that healing journey, it made it way more clear for me to say, me and him are aligned. Me and him are aligned. For another example, I used to do music. I used to write hip hop music and rap. And a lot of the things that the industry people that I was trying to get to and pitch myself to, they were saying, you need to talk more about street stuff and your body and sell sex and things like that. And I started to realize that doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve the women that or the people I'm trying to speak to. So it shifted, it changed, and I realized I don't want to do music that makes me have to do that. So I would change my message. It's the same thing with dating. So all the things that made me feel my best self, I needed my partner also to want that for me. Not that they needed to be that for me, because they are who they are and where they are. But always, depending on who I connect with, I have to also take an awareness into and saying, this is also a reflection of me, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I personally learned. And yeah, like if I want to heal the community, I can't date someone who hurts the community.
Right.
They could be fine, they could be well known, they could be all this great stuff that once was my attraction point, but because the deeper self and the soul level connection has become primarily my primary focus, those things no longer exist because those things feed the ego, not the soul. So I learned those things, and that's how personally I wind up going for the things that go well with my goals as I'm learning more about me.
Love that. Love that.
I think for me, similar to a lot of what Janessa was saying, it's very important for me to gauge how someone supports me, is there for me. If I have a problem, I'm very protective of me, of my problems, and of handling handling my things. How does this person? How can this person be there for me, but not or try to overpower me? That's something that's very important for me to take a look at. I don't want anyone who's going to tell me what to do, but how do they make themselves available for big issues that come up? Because at some point, if I'm dating someone, it something comes up, and here's an opportunity for us to see how compatible we are. So that's very important. And I just a silly example. With my boyfriend one time, a family member was driving me nuts and packed my freezer with random like animal products that she wasn't going to be able to consume. It was not just my refrigerator; she had to put some out the window because there was no more room in the refrigerator. It was driving me crazy. I don't even eat meat. She was going to eat this meat. It just didn't make any sense. And I was already like, she was visiting, and it was way too long. And I went to the park because I just couldn't handle it. And I'm like, I want to say something to this lady because I can't deal. And he called me, and I'm telling him like, listen, I've had enough of this lady. He's like, I'm gonna come by and take the meat. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm gonna come by and just take like as much of this meat as I can fit in my car. I was like, okay. To this day, like that was like a big like turning point. And eventually he threw it all out. He said no one was interested in eating all this like random meat. But it was, and it seems like it was something small, but I was able to it was, I saw that, okay, here is someone really invested in being a part of my solution, but not like, oh, well, I'm going to go and talk to her, let her know, or, yeah, fuck your family. Because I had somebody one time that I was going in about my family. He's like, yeah, fuck your family. I was like, what? And I can say that didn't work out. So also someone interested in growing with me because I know I've changed so much over the years, or maybe I haven't changed. I've had more exposure. And as I continue to have more exposure, there's more and more things that feel very inviting and exciting. And I want someone that says yes to these things and not limit themselves because of fear or any other limitations that they've created for themselves. Someone that's like, okay, yes, let's do this. Let's try that. I'll hold your hand. Let's go. And for neither of us to feel like we're blocking each other's growth.
Yeah, that's a supporting factor. And, just hearing you speak that, it's beautiful. And I think we all want that. And we all deserve that. Like, that's beautiful.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Well, and so when I think about assessment, right, what I started to do differently, because, I think before, when I was dating, when I was younger, it was like, do they like me? That was the energy. Do they like me? Unless I thought I was cuter, then it was like, whatever. But, if it's somebody I wanted to be with, I wanted to not perform, but I was hopeful that they would like me. And so that energy wasn't there anymore. Now it was about like, are they a good fit for me? And with alignment, you have to know who you are in order to know if you're aligned, right? So I needed to know who I was and what I really valued before I went out and started to date. And I knew that it was different. It wasn't like they need to look this way and they got to be this tall and then you got to be in this. It was really about, are they spiritual? Do they have a spiritual practice? Are they mentally stable? Like when we have a fight, are they going off and jumping out the car and all that, right? Yeah. Emotionally, are they in touch with their emotions? Because I don't want anybody that's all turned off or going from 0 to 100 all the time. Like I don't have the patience for it.
Sorry.
Go ahead, no worries.
because what you just said is so important. It's like, yeah, are you in touch with, are you aloof, or are you drowned by your emotions? Because I
Right.
have experienced the opposite. And I'm like, grab a hold of yourself. Do you know how
Well,
to
I
swim?
think I think that's the 0 to 100, because when you go from 0 to 100, you drown by your emotions. You cannot manage yourself. So I didn't want that, because I know a person like that, when it's time to have a disagreement about something, they gonna go from 0 to 100. So I didn't want that. Like you, I realized I love nature, but I love it in a different way. So I wanted somebody who loved being in the sun and doing spontaneous things, but I didn't love it the way, the person I was with before loved it. Like everything was about like competition and getting as many miles in. And I was like, oh no, all that shit's too much for me.
Right, right. I agree. I agree. Just let us be, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, I just want to see the stars and enjoy the whatever. But anyway, so then once I knew what I wanted, I was able to look at habits and ask questions, not at that like an interview, but what do you do when you get up in the morning? What do you spend most of your time with? And I was just, and I didn't judge it. I just go like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna work. Because I do want somebody who's meditating. When I talk to Dawn, she's like, I meditate all the time. But I want that, because I want somebody that's peaceful. That's when I'm feeling like they can pull me back down. So I think it's important that we assess, we look at habits, but it takes time. You're going out maybe once a week. So you're talking on the phone regularly, but by talking to them, if they need to be on the phone with you every 5 minutes, like you know.
yeah.
Go ahead,
It's
Lisa.
so funny what you just said, because asking someone what they do in the morning. I mean, since I've done this work, I didn't get single again to like ask someone brand. So what do you do in the morning? But that seems so nice, as opposed to like trauma bonding. So what happened in your childhood?
Right.
Word. That's
Well,
why
that's what
you
I
have
used
these
to do.
issues. Wow, what a shift. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't
No,
wait.
I used to do that. I wanted to know what happened in people's past, because I want to know what kind of dynamite I was dealing with. But now I don't really care what's happening in their past. I think, what are they focusing on now? How are they dealing with them? And you can tell with the conversations they have when they're talking about their bosses, they're talking about their family, they're talking about how are they talking about them? So, and it's different. It doesn't mean you got to be perfect and all that stuff, but how is it consistent? You want to look for consistent, you want to look for patterns and consistency. Go ahead.
What you're saying is on the money, because you see, the last one I was in situation, there was I don't ask questions. I'm not a prying person. You feel free, once you're comfortable, to disclose certain things to me, but I was in the connection where I was watching the consistency of this pattern of, whenever something was being frazzled in there every day, it was immediate childhood trauma association, and then it just kept being in that this whole unhealthy, not knowing how to process his childhood issues. And he would TMI me, and he would tell me about all his trauma. And, no, he would pop out with TMI. Like, one time he came out and shared something that was in his childhood, and when he said it to me, it was like disassociated with what we were going through and experiencing. But when he said it, I immediately got like this intuitive knowing, like, he's by and he's going through something. And it just he showed me, because he brought up such an irrelevant thing that had nothing to do with me and him and our connection and anything that we've experienced. And I was like, it, because of the contents of what he was saying, I was like, he's having sexual issues, not physical sexuality issues, with knowing and identifying his true origin of sexuality and what he prefers. And I got that immediately, and I was like, oh, we got to split.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to split,
But
because
then see, and here's the great part about all that. And thanks for sharing that. I like to, when I'm, if I'm going out, not now because I'm not single, but if I was going out dating,
disclaimer, not now. This is your joyful friend Sherelle, not now. Not a
right? But I'm saying, like, I wanted people to TMI me and expose, because this is the only way I'm going to find out. I don't know if I've interviewed a lot of people, and and no, I don't mean for dating. I mean at my business, right? And people would say, like, I would say to myself, like, how do you think you're going to get the job with this kind of? But I would tell me more because I needed to know what if I felt like or something seemed a little bit sketchy. And, at least for him, he was trying to open himself to you. But the great part is that you got to see, like, oh, yeah, I don't want anybody that's grappling with this thing because, it's going to show up in some other way. So
think he was trying to do that. I get what you're saying, and I don't think that's what it was. I think honest to God, he was battling with himself so deeply about how to tell me that he
Oh.
was unsure about his own self, that he created these little micro, stories of turmoil and just it was TMI shit. It was just like, bro, not mine. Not mine. I was not your girlfriend when you were 7. You know what I'm saying? What he was trying to do was check my temperature to see if I was, I think either he wanted me to just be like, no, 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 and run, or be like, are you okay with this? I don't know.
Right.
Anyway,
Well,
but
that's the thing, and this is why it's important to ask questions and not in like an investigative way, right? As a detective, but you're asking questions for alignment and just trying to figure out if you're a good match. Because if you feel good around them and you're attracted to them, that's like a plus. So now you want to inquire if if you guys are going to just be a good fit together. So I think this is the part that people don't do. They don't take this time to make sure that they are more aligned. So, all right. So next one is assess if you are a good fit for them. And this is the part that I feel like people don't do. They just want, do they fit what I need? Or, do they like me? Will we look good together? But they don't like really take the time and say, like, would I add value to their life? Yeah. Because we're adding value to each other's life. So what do you guys want to say about that?
I got to tell you that I'm constant. I think I'm more focused on that than I am if someone's good for me. I'm always very conscious of how I'm showing up for others, if I'm capable of doing that. So I had, during that process of my selection that I mentioned earlier in the episode, where I had 10 months or so where I was talking to a couple of people, I met this gentleman. Super cool dude. I met him at a mall or whatever. Fine. And he winds up telling me, we're talking for a while. We were just on the phones and everything and having conversations. And somehow he tells me that he just came home from prison somehow, right? And I'm listening and I'm like, immediately I know that this is not what I want. Right. And then I think about like the type of connections and the guys that I was talking to, and he tells me why he's in prison. And I'm like, all right, immediately I'm like, yeah, I'm not a good fit for you. I tell him, I'm like, you're really cool. You're great. I know you just came home and everything and whatever, but I'm not a good fit for you. And I'm gonna tell you why, because you just came home from doing, whatever time. You have a certain kind of a lifestyle that you're already conditioned to. And it's ratchet, but it's the truth. And I wound up not talking to him or the other 2 guys. And then I met the guy who was like completely opposite of all of this. And I was like, this is what I like. This is what I want. I don't want to deal with these guys anymore. Right. So I could have been like, yo, he's fine, because he was fine, cut up. These dudes spend their time just focusing on their body, or they work it, man. I'm gonna just tell it like it is. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Got little crazy guys, but I'm putting them down now. I'm letting them know we can talk, but I can't mess with you.
How about you, Lisa?
So I think, because Janessa's example seemed like she wasn't interested in him either. I think I've had experiences where I've been interested, but the other person assessed that they weren't good for me. And it's happened like 2 times in my life, and it's been because of the same reason each time: age difference. And someone dead ass told me it's all good now. But when I get old, and can't take care of myself, and you're still young and ambitious, I'm like, yo, we're on date 2. Why is this even a thing? And 2 different times we stopped because the other person just decided like the age difference was they were gonna be on their deathbed, and I was gonna be at like a high school reunion.
this is also, right, when we're looking at habits and necessity for a good fit for them, is that, if and I don't want to talk about little things. I think it's more about kind of bigger issues. Like age is important. That is a bigger issue. I think age is important, and lifestyle is very important because, if he's got a certain lifestyle and he feels like, you're going to leave him after a certain time, yeah, it's probably not a good fit because he's leading with his fears already. But but I understand that because I can't really date anybody that's younger than me. It's really hard. I just I feel like I'll be going through menopause, going through stuff, and I ain't got nobody to talk to about it.
Right.
But just make sure that you're a good fit for them, because if they, you got to assess how they live their life, and if you can be a good part and add value to it, and not, I feel like when I was looking at Dawn, because she went from doing styling to construction, that's the company that I had before was in construction. So I was helping her with stuff in her business. So I just, not just on a business level, but I just feel like that I am more aligned with her and I can add value to her life. And it wasn't like she just needed to serve me. I wanted to see how I could serve her as well. Everybody ain't got a lot about this, because this is the part that people don't look at. Like, you want to make sure you're adding value to someone else too, not how are they taking care of their emotions so that they don't stress you, but how are you taking care of yourself so that you don't put extra shit on them. You're not dealing with your emotions and not dealing with stuff. And when they say, I can't come home tonight because I got to work late, you're not like, I haven't seen you in five, you're not doing that. But you're like, like yesterday, Dawn's on this Clubhouse thing. She's in this room. She was on there all day, all day. But that's not what is normal. But I know that there's something that she's trying to get out of it. So instead of me feeling like, gosh, she's on this thing all day, what I did was like, this gives her life. Like, this is what she enjoys. There's something that she wants. This adds value to her life. So for me to be all in my feelings about it, the only thing I do say is, when it's time for food, when it's time for us to be together, that I need your undivided attention, because we need our connection time. But any other time outside of that, I'm not going to bother you about that kind of stuff. So, and I feel like I'm a good fit for her. I think somebody else would be all pissed off that she was on this Clubhouse thing all day and feel like it doesn't have value. So.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely way more, like I said, I gave like a funny example, but really I'm constantly worried about how am I adding. I'm more aware of what I give than take from life, period, as being because spiritual for me is really key. The fact that I'm in a body is huge to me. So I make it my business to really respect as much as I possibly can the connections that I'm in. I don't want to force my ideals on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
if you're not living a life that's aligned with me, it's not fair that I do that. So I question, like, am I in addition to this? Can I add to this? In what ways can I feed and give life to this connection? If there's not an opportunity, if you're not comfortable with me loving on you, I'm a lover and I love to love, and I like to give and add to and support. And those things make me my best, most thriving being. And because I come from that source, if that is something that makes you feel like I'm clingy, and I'm not a right fit for you. If you need me to be quiet and well kept and catering and serving to you, I like to cater and serve, but I damn for sure don't like to be quiet. Not a right fit for you. You know what I'm saying? I might, you might be popular. All the girls might like you. I might want to punch all of them because I don't know how to work out that little problem with me. Not a good fit for you until I fix that.
Right. And I want to add another thing. I think that whatever those things that make you thrive, like if you're, a talkative person, or you're somebody that's, trying to get your career going and you're on social media a lot, like if people are not trying to understand that these are my dreams, this is where I'm going, you can really stifle someone. So I think because I'm in a different place and I understand that, then I'm a good fit for her, but like, I probably wouldn't be a good fit for somebody else. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's really about like just making sure that we're not judging who they are. They're not judging who we are, but the things that make us thrive, that we're connected in those things that make us thrive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that you said that. Minimizing discouragement, especially if whatever you're pursuing is something that you're just getting started on. And I think, like, lastly, an important point is if someone does their assessment and decides you're not the right fit for them, to just respect it. I know a lot of times people try to convince the other person otherwise, or create doubt or whatever. And I think it's, you don't want to be with someone who's not certain they want to be with you.
Yeah.
I know we see that on the soap operas every day, and eventually it all works out. But I haven't seen it work out in real life.
Don't go, you complete me. Yes, no.
Right.
You don't want any of that desperate love.
Yeah.
That very attached love. All right, so you want to assess if you're a good fit for them. And 6, we want to communicate and clarify our needs, and also reevaluate the relationship often.
Yes,
So what do you guys have to say about that?
because it doesn't matter how long you've been with somebody, you know what I mean? We speak a lot about, in order to align ourselves with what's best for us, we first and foremost need to learn self. We also speak about how learning self requires multiple different circumstances and sometimes different connections. So we really have to understand those things first in order to move forward in that space, in a healthy type of a dynamic, like, otherwise we're just being pushy and projecting or deflecting, or all
Yeah.
my things are kicking up. I'm like,
I think in our relationship, we evolve, and also the things that we want to do and the things that we have done, we keep experiencing expansion. And because of that, where we were when we started the relationship will have changed so much, sometimes in a short period of time. And sometimes we're not even aware of how the dynamic has changed for the other person. So that's why I think not just clarifying what's going on for us, but what's going on for the other person. Are their needs being met too? Are we listening to them? Can we hear them? Can we hear ourselves, so that we are on a path where there's love and understanding and joy, and it doesn't become something that is causing more suffering than good. So I think it's very important to appreciate the evolution and to take note of it.
real quick, I wanted to say, some people get so caught up in the way things are at the beginning. And if you're not emotionally intelligent enough, and if you don't understand the principle of evolution and expansion, like Lisa's saying, then you will hold other people to this expectation of staying the same. And if they're not understanding the need for change, they may look at their growth process as a disrespect or disregarding to the connection. And that is such a lie. And it doesn't really serve us. And so what happens is this is how toxicity becomes in relationships. So we really have to reevaluate that. Like, if we can do that daily, like if that could be like the thing, right? At night, like, how did things go today? Is there another way that we could have processed things or done things differently? If we had that normalizing in our lives, like, at the end of each day in our connections, we just take an inventory of how things process, I think people would connect better and have a lot more respect for the constant shifts that we normally are going to have, because it's normal.
I love what Lisa said. I love what you said. I think, the reason we're talking about communicate and clarify needs, because I think this is what we do in relationships anyways. So we've got to be able to communicate effectively with each other. So we've got to be monitoring this. Are we communicating well? Like, do you think we're in a relationship where we're not in a relationship? You know what I mean? Like, there has to be open communication. Yes, absolutely. Keep the lines of communication open, because we make a lot of assumptions. We make assumptions about, like, oh, we're dating, so you must be exclusive. No, you got to ask questions. You got to find out how they do relationships, how they do dating. And we're not really curious. Maybe it should be curious also in there, because we should be curious, clarify what we need, and just keep reevaluating if this is, if this is the thing for you or not. Not really. If it's not, is it going in the direction that you want it to go in? So
Curious over crazy. because eventually someone gets called crazy. Oh,
Right.
I don't know where this crazy, just crazy, and no one ever asked, hey, what was your communication like with this crazy person? You know, we're just like, yup, I know someone just like that.
It's funny that you say that, because whenever I've been, labeled crazy, I tell them very respectfully and very, absolute, very certain, I'm not crazy. I'm concerned because there's no clarity on this circumstance or whatever. But like Lisa said, eventually, if you're not having that communication, that's how they draw it up to be. You know what I mean? Like, but this happens it doesn't matter whether you're a guy or a girl, you know what I mean? It could happen in any which way. Relationships are tricky.
They are tricky. And the funny thing is, when we talk about alignment, we talk about communication and clarity, like all this can be also, when you think about other relationships that you have with family or with friends and all that, sometimes we're just not aligned with our family. We're not aligned with our friends. Like, they just have they have total different belief systems, and we're fighting all the time about topics when really what we're fighting about is that we do not have the same beliefs. Like, we just do not. So we're fighting over these things. Like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't do that. No, it's not about that. You guys just have a very different belief system, and then we're just bumping up against each other.
That's the issue with not normalizing the individual perception. It does not matter what anyone's belief system, and the fact is, you're an individual with your own apparatus processing your consciousness individually. Those are the science facts, people, right? So once we accept that, then we can say it doesn't matter how much I sit here and try, like, I'm committed to making them see my point. They just cannot, because they're individual perceivers, and that is our birthright. So once we start to normalize that, we won't really, you know what I mean, like, spending.
Lisa, is somebody in your house?
Oh, Lisa's mute.
Is somebody in your house?
Yeah, Fernanda's in the other room.
Oh, because I see her every time you say something, she'll laugh, and I'm like,
no, you see me laughing because I have it on mute, because every once in a while he'll walk by. I don't want you to get the footsteps. No. You know why I was laughing? Because I wrote down under boundaries, and I said, wow, a great topic would be when to have sex. And then I said, but I'm not talking during that episode.
Sorry, Janessa.
Sherelle and Janessa fight on that episode. I would just be there like this. No word.
I have the answer. Whenever the hell you want to.
No, with a new person.
Whenever the hell
in dating. Oh, look at Janessa's face.
Yeah.
No, because
but people listening have issues with this, because I felt like all my 20s, the advice I would get is don't have sex with someone you like. So because you have to make it so that person, or if it didn't work out, maybe you had sex too soon, or then I didn't have sex. Well, maybe you should have had sex. I just never felt like I got clarity. You guys need to move slow, and I always move too fast. I don't know. I got it all wrong until I think, yeah.
This is what you do, right?
Uh-huh.
You go, what would I like to do in this situation? And whatever you like to do, if your beliefs are different than that, fucking hit the reset button.
That's it.
I don't give a fuck what everybody said. Hit the reset button.
I'm question exactly what's the question.
When's the right time to have sex with a new partner? You can't answer that one, right? It's Sherelle, you're the only one.
You know
yeah,
what?
I can answer it.
Because real shit, y'all, I'm telling you guys, I do what I want, when I want, how I want type of chick. And as much as I sit here and tell you guys, like, I prefer relationships and my connections, and I don't like to date, I don't, but it doesn't matter. That shit could change in the moment. If I felt like it changes at this moment, it changes. I do what I want at the moment type of chick. So right. I could be in a whole relationship with somebody and be like, yeah, he's been playing himself.
But you guys talked about this probationary period, this employees, new roles, job promotions, all of this. Where does sex fit into all this?
Because here's the thing.
I'm asking for a friend.
Listen, I know. This is why we call this dating guidelines and not dating rules, because you know that things feel different in different circumstances. And just like I had mentioned before, I was like, it had been a long time since I had been intimate with anyone. So I had a need, right? So it was different. It wasn't like, oh, I got the energy and all that. Fuck that. I had a need.
Yeah.
And I wanted my needs met. So, but it's different when the behavior is consistent. And it's consistent and it's different than what your core value is. Now, if your core value is a belief that somebody gave you, that's different. But if
Right.
your core
But
value,
also, Janessa had said the other day how with the science, you get all these people stuck inside you, and then you have these soul circles, and you have all this stuff. And it's just like, if I knew, I would have just taken care of myself and called it a
No,
day.
trust me, me
hold
too.
on.
Me too.
Everything is, you know how when we listen to Abraham, she talks about momentum, right? So it's about consistency and giving it momentum. But if you have a one-off type situation, or you've got to assess what's right for you in that instance. You can't live by rules, because when you live by rules, it doesn't allow you to be free. It doesn't allow you to flex at all. It's just like, these are the rules and I got to fit
Right.
the rules.
But what are the guidelines around sex?
It's whatever feels right to you at the time.
Every time.
Every time.
But then what if it's like you're always having sex with people right away?
And are you upset about it?
I'm telling you, people want to know these things.
Number seven is put your best foot forward. So why would we want to put our best foot forward in dating?
If not, you're gonna trip all over yourself. Because you want to be responsible for doing the right thing. It's going to be times where you guys have the opportunities to share these, the responsibility for the relationship and its dynamics and where's it going. So if you know you're putting your best foot forward, if you know that you're constantly doing things with the right intention, then whenever things go wrong, you know it's not you. And you can say, hey, listen, I try to put my best foot forward. There's not much more I can do besides, regress.
Forward.
Right.
Putting your best foot forward means taking the time that you need to make sure that you're showing up, with as little baggage as possible, with empathy, with care and love and availability. I think that's what it means, putting your best foot forward. But here's the thing. Then also if you're putting your best foot forward and someone is coming and they're just not there, they're not ready, then you can assess it real quick. But if you're half stepping and the other person, well, you're like, well, technically I'm not, and then you end up in a cycle for a lot longer than you need to be.
Toxicity.
Absolutely. And I would say putting your best foot forward is like how you do little things is how you do everything, So I'm not going to come to a date looking a hot mess, not making sure that I'm adding value to this situation, because I'm coming to have fun too. And if I'm a romantic person, I'm going to romance you. If I'm a loving person, I'm going to love on you. Like I want to add value to this situation. So I want to put my best foot forward. I want to dress nice. I want to be nice. I don't want to be like, well, this ain't really going to be nothing. Like, that's not how I do stuff. And the other thing too is like, it's kind of like when we use the analogy for work, right? Whether you're working at a grocery store until you become whatever you want to become, you still want to you want to put your best foot forward. You don't want to go to work like, but this job ain't shit and I ain't going to be here that much. That's the energy that you're putting into it, and you're not going to get to where you want to go. So I would say, put your best foot forward. This is your training time. This is the time for you to come together. So I think it's really important that you're doing that.
I love that.
Last but not least is have fun. Have fun. Your joyful friend says to have fun. Why should we have fun on dates?
Because once it stopped being fun, I'm done, hun. No, fun is important because number one, it is our highest vibration. Law of attraction, manifesting. This is a big part of, this is just the way we're built. When we're having our fun, we're at our highest version of self. We are tapping into bigger frequencies that allow us to attract better blissful experiences. And we're also showing other people how to do this too. So it's the highest version of self. When you're having a good time, it's one of the highest versions of self. However, some people enjoy doing things that are not beneficial. to the self or others. So it's important to understand the type of level of fun you're having, because just because it's fun to you, it might not be fun to another person. So you should consider that too while having fun.
Love
Yeah.
that. Love the way you put all of that.
Thank you.
Not every date turns into a relationship, but every one of them can be filled with creativity and inspiration and imagination to any degree that you allow it to be. So I think the whole process should be something where if you discover something about you, or you come to love yourself a little better, a little more fuller. And I think being around people who help you bring out the best of you is so powerful. And if you do it deliberately, it can, it makes you feel very full. So have fun.
That's right.
Yes. I'm all about having fun. I just live my life with having fun. And I think that we make dating so serious. Like, is this the one? And like, it's just so heavy, and it doesn't have to be serious. It could be light. It could be breezy. It could be like, I don't know if this is the one, but I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to have as much fun as possible. I'm going to get to know this new connection, even if it's not for a lifetime. I mean, have you ever like gone to a grocery store and you connected with somebody and it was just fun? Like, and y'all didn't exchange numbers and become friends. And I don't even mean like in a sexual way or like that. It's just like a friend. And you have a lot of fun. Like, you should just have fun. And like Janessa was saying, it's your highest vibration, and you're just going to attract more of that fun energy to you, that light energy to you. That is where your light lives. And I think you should just have fun, just enjoy the time. And if it doesn't work out, at least you had fucking fun.
Exactly. And you know what? I wanted to share before we go, the importance of understanding connections. We are all in relationships. I have a relationship with both of my co-hosts right now. This podcast is a form of a relationship that we all three share with each other collectively, outside of individual ones that we have. We're always relationshiping. The label and the level of relationship is the difference. And when we can start understanding that, I think that we would hopefully, as we grow in our awareness, start to approach our relationships with a lot more respect and consideration for how we're connecting.
Love that. Love that. Thank you, ladies, as usual. Knocked it out of the park. And this is the reason why we call it dating guidelines and not dating rules, is because there has to be some flexibility in there. They have to be like guiding principles and not these hard set rules, because you're going to be different at different times. Your needs are going to change, and you've got to just flex with those needs. So we'll go over the guidelines again. 1, you got to know what you want. 2, know where you are emotionally. 3, date multiple people. That doesn't mean like 20, 30 people. It means like 2, 3 people, right? 4, assess if this person is aligned with you. So look at their habits. And 5, assess if you are a good fit for them because you want to add value to the relationship. 6, you want to communicate and clarify your needs and reevaluate as often as possible. And 7, you want to put your best foot forward, and because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And 8, you want to have some fun, because life is supposed to be joyful, supposed to be fun, and we make it so serious. I love that Janessa says relationshiping. So we want to do that relationshiping instead of that adulting that's all like about responsibility and rules and all. Like, we got to have some fun. We got to tap into that inner child some more.
Absolutely. I love it.
Bye, ladies.
All right.
Enjoy
Thank you,
your
guys.
day. Love you as always. And
Love you.
Love you guys.
My joyful friends, that's our show. Thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and leave a review. Share this episode with someone you think would get some value out of it. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.